What we're going to be looking at now is we are going to look at how we can customize our navigation and also how we can control the footer that's appearing on all of the pages. Let's go ahead and jump in and start modifying some of these things. Currently, I am using the Astra theme. So if you're using a different theme, the steps to do these sorts of modifications may be somewhat different, but most themes will allow you to do something like this using the customize setting. I'm going to go to Appearance, Customize, and as you can see, I have some different categories here. We've looked at a couple of these categories. We use the global category so that we could control the color palette and the styles overall for our website. And we also looked at a couple of these other options, but right now we are going to do some additional modifications. What I want to do to start off with is I want to change my menu a little bit. I would like the navigational links to look a little bit darker. And when we hover over, I want to change the hover color. In order to do that, I'm going to click the little pencil icon right here, which is going to take me into the primary menu. We will be going to the design category so that we can control how the menu looks. Currently, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to go into the menu color. By default, the color of the menu, this includes the default link color and the hover color, are controlled by our global styles that we had set up. I will change the color to be this darker color gray. This helps the menu to stand out a little bit more, which is what I want. And then I'm going to change my hover color. I want to use a brighter shade of green. And we also have an active color. The active color is what the menu looks like when you're physically clicking the mouse down. This is not as important as the normal and the hover state, but if you want to include an active state, you can modify that here as well. Regarding the background, I'm not going to set up any sort of background style, but it is worth mentioning that you potentially could include a background color on hover. I'm not going to do that, but that is an option for you. I will just reset to get rid of that. Everything else looks fine. I just wanted to darken this up a little bit. I will click Publish to accept those changes. And now we're going to move on to our footer. The footer is not at all what I want this to look like. So I want to be able to kind of customize my footer. I want to get rid of this Powered by Astra WordPress theme. And I really want to include a more robust footer in my website. So what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on different ways that we can accomplish this. I will close this and we're going to go to Appearance, Customize. We have an option for the footer builder. This allows you to edit and make modifications to what's going on in your footer. By default, the footer is showing this copyright area, and then it says Powered by Astra theme. If we click on copyright, you can see that this is what this currently looks like. It's showing the copyright. It has some code that is specific for this theme. These are things that are generating the copyright symbol, generating the current year, generating the site title, and then of course powered by, and then the theme author. So we can change this. If I wanted to get rid of this powered by, I could just delete that and get rid of that altogether. And now I can just have copyright 2024. And because it's using this setting, if you change to a new year, it should automatically update. My alignment is already set to middle, and I want my footer to be visible on all devices. If I want to change the background color of this, we can do that too. Before we do that though, let's go into design and let's just change the text color to white. That's gonna look a little bit better down here. I'm also going to reduce my font size for my copyright message. I'm gonna make this quite a bit smaller. It just needs to be like 12-point font. So I'll take care of that. And then I'll move on to changing the background color of this section. I'm going to click the pencil icon right here, which allows me to control this area of my footer. So we can do things like add multiple columns. For instance, if I wanted to have the copyright and maybe social media icons, I could change this to 2 columns. So now I actually have 2 columns that I can add content into. And you can go ahead and control different attributes about the sizing, the height of this. Maybe I don't want the footer to be quite as tall. I can reduce this down a little bit, making it a little more narrow. And obviously you can control if this is going to display on all of the various sizes. At this point, this seems fine. Now to be able to modify the second column. So we have added 2 columns. It moved this copyright over. But what I really want to do is I want to add something over here on the right. And at this point, I want to change my alignment. So to change the alignment, I'll go to Design. As you can see, the design attributes are different, and that's because currently I am editing this container. So if I want to change the background color on the entire thing, I can simply select a new background color. If I want to control the copyright, I need to click this little pencil icon, and now I can change the alignment. So I'm going to left align this copyright. Now I need to get into this right-hand side of the column. What we're going to do now is we're going to come down here, and you can see this says copyright. This is indicating that the copyright is showing here. I'm going to click inside of the second column, and I am going to choose social. And you can see it's going to add the social, and here are some social icons. If we want to edit these social icons, we're going to click the little pencil icon right here, and this is going to allow me to control which social media icons I want to show. So let's say I want to have Instagram first. I can rearrange these. I can get rid of one of these. If I wanted to add something like YouTube, this list right here is pretty much going to list all of the popular social media icons. So I can add the YouTube icon. You can choose to show the labels, but I'm just going to show the icons. I will right align these so that they show on the right-hand side. And then I'm going to go to the Design tab, and we are going to change the icon color to white. And when the icon is hovered, we'll have it changed to this lime green. I don't need to do anything for label color or background color. You can modify the size of the icons by using this little slider right here. So we'll just make ours slightly larger. We can control the spacing of the icons by using this slider right here, and I will keep these fairly close together. I am liking the way this looks at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and click Publish. Now, if we want to see what this looks like on the front end, I can come to the front end portion of my website and refresh, and you can see the new colors that I specified on my menu are now showing up. And if we scroll down, we have our new footer that is going to appear. In addition to this particular portion of the footer, I want to add another part of the footer. So we have these 2 additional rows, which allow us to build more into our footer. So I'm going to go ahead and use this second row right here. And this down here is the section that's below the footer. This is my primary footer, and this one right here is above the footer. So you have these 3 areas in this particular theme that you can build into your theme. So for this particular part of my footer, I'm just going to make a 1-column area, and I am going to vertically align to the middle. And for design, we are going to go ahead and change the background color. I'm going to make this golden. So I'll select my golden color right here. And then I'm going to click the plus sign right here, and I'm going to add some content. This is the content that you can add. Some of these are locked. If there's a padlock, this is only available in the Pro version. Or you can add HTML, you can add a footer menu, or you have these widgets 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to click widget 1, and this is going to allow me to add a widget. Now I need to scroll down because here's my original below the footer. This is my primary footer, and I can basically now do whatever I want within this widget area. What we will do here is if we click on widget, it's going to tell you a little bit about the widget. This particular theme provides block areas for us to add content. I'm just going to click got it. And then I'm going to click a plus right here. And I am going to start off by adding a heading. My heading is going to say stay in touch. I am going to go ahead and change the alignment of this to center. And we will modify the colors of this in just a minute, but let's just get our block elements inside of this area. I'm going to hit plus again, and we're going to add a paragraph, and I'm going to write the text that I want to display. Again, I want this to be centered, so I'm going to align this to the center. And then we're going to add a button with our telephone number. So I'm going to add a button. If I don't see the button, I can either click Browse All, or I know a button is available, so I'll just type in button and I'll grab a button. And for this button, we're just going to put our phone number. I'm going to add my phone number here. The style of the button is being inherited from our global styles that we had established earlier. I'm going to go ahead and align my text to the center. I will change the vertical alignment to middle. And right here, I'm going to change the justification to center, and that will allow the button to be centered. Now that I have these elements inside of this primary footer, I want to edit them. So we can click the little pencil icon right here, and this will bring us back to the area that we just saw. Obviously, our edits are somewhat limited. However, if you go to the three dots, the options area, and you click show more settings, this will take you into more of the design area. I'm going to change the color of this text to be white. I am going to leave the size of the typography as it is, but if I click these typography options, these three dots, I'm going to go to line height, and I'm just going to decrease the line height here because I don't really want these elements to be so far together. So I'm just going to use 0 for the line height on this header, and everything else I'm going to leave at the defaults. Now we'll click the paragraph, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click these three dots. I'm going to go into show more settings. We'll change the text color of this message to also be white. And once again, I'm going to come into my line height. We're going to reduce the line height down a little bit. This will snug these up a little bit closer together. So I think 0.8 looks fine. And now I'll click the back button one more time. We'll click on the button and click the options, show more settings. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into the style area, and I'm going to customize the way this button looks. Currently, I'm editing this area, but what I really want to do is I want to edit the button itself. So if I change the background color, and I'm just going to make it red so you can see, it actually changes the background color that the button sits in. This is not what we want. So I'm just going to reset that back to nothing. I will click the back button, and I'm liking this. I'm going to click the pencil icon for the whole area at this point. And what we are going to do here is we're going to go to design. In addition to what I've already set here, I'm just going to make sure that my margin is set to 0 all the way around because I don't want to have any space. And I'm going to make my padding 0 as well. Now, obviously, I don't want the padding to be 0 on the top and the bottom, but the right and the left is fine. I will uncheck this little link. I'll switch this to M's, and I'll add 2 M's of padding to the top, as well as 2 M's of padding on the bottom. And if we click publish, and I always like to check in the front end just because sometimes that little preview area can look a little bit different. It looks like there might be a little border or something, which I don't want. So let's just check that out real quickly. I'll click this primary navigation area, and I'm just going to set the border color maybe to yellow. And I don't know if That might have gotten rid of it, but I'm going to do the same thing on the green one. So we'll go to design and I'll just set the border color to the same color green. Oh, I think this is where it was coming from because it looks like we had a top border size. I'll set that to 0. I just want these things to stack right on top of each other. So at this point, there should be no space in between them, which is what I want. Great. And then the final thing we're going to do is we're going to add one more custom area to our footer. I will be using this widget that's going to appear above the footer. For this, we are going to once again use one column, and with this portion selected, I'll go to design. I'm going to set the background color to be our teal color. I'll set the border size to 0. And I'm going to use the same padding. So we'll set this to M's. We'll set everything to 0. And then I'll unlink this and set the top and the bottom to 2 M's. And I'll click the plus sign in here. And we're going to do something similar to what we just had in our previous widget. I am going to add widget 2 because I already have a widget 1. And then once I'm inside of widget 2, I can click the little gear icon, hit the plus symbol, and once again, we're going to make a heading. We'll write our text. I'll center my text. And remember, if we want to modify this, we can go into show more settings. I'm going to set the text color here to white. You can see my text is now showing up. And that's all I need to do here. I'm going to click the back button. We'll click the plus again. We're going to add a paragraph. I'll add my text. I'm going to center my text. And once again, show more settings, and we'll change the text color to white. I'm going to go into typography, line height, and we'll reduce the line height so that we can snug these things up. I think I used 0.8 before. I forgot to do it on my heading, so I'll have to reduce the line height there just to make these be consistent to what we're using below. Everything else is fine. I'll click the back arrow button, and actually let's just go into the line height for our heading. Hit the 3 dots and use line height, and then we'll just reduce this down to 0. And you can see that just snugs these items up. And then one more time, we're going to go back, and once again, I'm going to add a button. This button is going to be an outline. I'm going to center my button, and the text that we want to say is contact our experts. I'll make sure that this is justified to the center as well as aligning to the middle. And we ultimately want this to be a link. I'm going to go ahead and link this to my contact page. So I can go ahead and click the link icon. And if I just type in contact, usually it brings up the contact page, but that's not happening. So I'm just going to go to my contact page and get the URL for the page, which should just be your URL /contact. I'll copy that, and we'll just edit this link and go ahead and make this the link. I'll save that. So now this is going to link to our contact page, and it looks like I spelled experts wrong. So let me correct that. Now let's go to our show more settings. I'll go to styles. And here for fill, I'm going to change the background color to teal. And we're going to change the outline color. So I'll click on outline, and you can see it adds an outline. And I believe our default outline color was white. The border is down here, so that's inheriting. I do want to make this a little bit rounder. So I'm just going to increase this to 100. And let's make this button, let's modify this button so it kind of matches a little bit, at least with the rounding. But I'm liking the way this is actually looking. I'm also going to click the border and shadow options and turn on the shadow. And I will just add a little bit of a drop shadow. I just like a little bit of depth because I think it helps to make the button pop out a little bit more. So that one looks great. I will just click publish so I don't lose any of my settings. And actually, before we move on, let's click this container and go to design. And I'm just going to add a little bit more padding on the top I think 3 looks a little bit better there. So I'll click publish, and then let's see if we can modify this button down here. Just make sure that you click not just on the widget area, but you click the button itself. This will allow you to access the button, and then you can make changes to the button. I will click show more settings. And if I go to my styles, I can go ahead and redesign the button. We're going to set the background color to yellow. We're going to turn on outline, and we're going to change the radius to 100%, as well as add that drop shadow just like we did before. And the final thing I want to do here is if we go back, I want to make this a link. So I'm going to click my link, and this time if the user is on a mobile device, if they click the button, I want it to call the number. I'm going to use tell : and then I'll just type in the phone number, and that's all I need to do at this point. This is now going to be a link. I'll click enter to accept that, and at this point, if the user clicks this button and they're on a mobile device, it will open their phone application and call the number. That just makes the accessibility of the website work that much better. All right, that looks great. I'm liking my custom footer. I'm going to go ahead and click publish. And now it shouldn't matter what page we're on, all of our pages should have this consistent custom footer. It should be apparent on every page. So as you can see, it takes a little bit of time and manipulation, but you can easily customize the way that the footer looks and make it more robust and get rid of that default Astra branding and really customize this so it's exactly how you want it to look for your project.